We are here because of love and memory. Although Ben Ezra no longer is with us in the flesh, he still shapes our lives. His journey, his love, his dedication, his shadows, all who he was, is still with us. As you heard, Ben was born and raised in Istanbul. Turkey had just recovered from World War I, and the people had revolted against Sultan rule. With a secular government, religion wasn't to be taught in schools, but as a Jew, Ben and his family could not be Turkish citizens. He was often taunted by other kids as coward kike. He was required to participate in the student military training, but could not bear arms or become an officer on account of his religion. He attended the American school where a beloved professor became a family friend who vacationed with the family at their island resort home. And this professor raved about the freedom and opportunity in America. And that's where Ben set his sights, enrolling in Roberts College. In 1944, at age 22, Ben received a scholarship to Northwestern University. As you've heard, it's the time Hitler had already marched into Europe, was threatening to enter Turkey, and Ben left his native land for Alexandria, where he waited for over a month before securing passage on that merchant marine ship. And though his journey uncertain, he repeated the words of Thomas Paine, that American revolutionary, to himself. The world is my country. All humankind are my brethren, and to do good is my religion. At Northwestern, Ben met his first wife, Betty Howe Schreiber. They had 3 children, Phil, Beth, and Tom. After completing his residency in psychiatry, he served as a captain in the United States Air Force, and then moved to Elmhurst, where he started his practice and worked with many veterans in the VA system. He was devoted to his work. He studied psychiatry before the profession focused on managing mental illness through medication. He believed in the power of therapy and would give his patients far more than the 15 minutes that would in time be what the insurance companies would pay for. He helped many, wasn't the right fit for a number, but cherished the opportunity to be the support to people who struggled with mental health. And after moving to Elmhurst with his young family, he attended Third Unitarian Church, just a mile away from here, across the Austin Boulevard. And there he loved the sermons of E.T. Buehrer. But when Buehrer left, he came here to Unity Temple during the tenure of Jerry Crick. His wife taught Sunday school, and Ben loved the community and the conversations. And after his divorce, Ben stayed connected to people here. And in time, he would give 2 sermons. One was an Odyssey he entitled "The God of My Gods," and one on humanism, his deep faith in the human capacity to make real goodness in the world. And by then, Barbara was his wife, and one of the greatest turns in his life was finding someone who could organize his life, including the administration of his practice, to support him professionally, build a life where he could thrive both socially and personally, and faithfully walk with him through both joy and sorrow, including those last hard years of decline. which I'm so touched to hear, were such a significant moment where he could be real and present to those who visited, especially his closest family. Now, Barbara and Ben met through a Catholic priest who worked with Ben on a professional level and was a friend of Barbara's parents. And they dated for 2 years. Ben had been single for nearly 10 years, and Reverend Scott Giles, the minister here, Ben's minister at the time, noted that Barbara was the only person he dated who could say no to him. And Reverend Giles married them at the Drake Hotel in Oak Brook. And when they got married and moved to Oak Brook in 1984, Barbara's children, Kate and Chuck, were 5 and 8. Barbara was both parenting full-time and working on her MBA that would allow her to literally support her husband professionally. They thrived together, developing a home that many of you have been in, a home filled with art, antique clocks, fine wine, and they loved to travel together, having visited Istanbul 5 times together. Later in life, Ben shared that he wished his father had taken more time to be with the family. His father worked hard, long hours, and always seemed to be in constant motion, even on holidays. Ben wished his father didn't spend so much time worried about getting ready for something like a picnic and getting a whole spread together and be in a panic only to rush there, eat, and then rush home. But Ben, as an overachiever himself, no doubt recognized a similar propensity in himself. For he duplicated some of this behavior, in part because he loved his profession so much. And we've heard today that he wasn't always as emotionally present as his children would have wanted him to be. And he recognized that. And to hear that he was there for his children towards the end. It's really wonderful. And yet he wasn't one to rush, especially driving a car. I understand he got more than 1 ticket for driving too slow. But yes, I am fully aware that Barbara would never allow him in the driver's seat when she was with him. And there's a metaphor there. Ben had an extraordinary mind and a commitment to leading others to mental health, meaning, and truth. And he thrived with a life partner who had deep faith in him, but made it possible for him to share of his gifts, the very aim he sought to provide for others. In time, the 3 hardest things for them both were the closing of his office, the day he stopped driving, and most painful of all, the day he entered a nursing home. It was so hard for all who loved this brilliant doctor of the mind to watch him lose some of his own. He was surrounded by love and responded to others with love. And his family showed up, and over the past 4 years, those closest to Ben have had to grieve the loss of the beloved man they had known. Yesterday, the family and closest friends were at Bronzewood Cemetery, where we held a burial service. Each of the members of the family shared a rose there where Ben's ashes have been interred. Just as Ben sought to share a rose, a metaphorical rose with so many throughout his life. And now, here we are, acknowledging that he is gone. And it provides comfort knowing that our lives have been made better because of his, that the world was touched and made better because he had lived. And because Ben saw the world is our country, and all humankind as our brethren, and to do good is our religion. I ask that we sing a song that meant so much to him. It is number 159 in the hymnal, aptly titled, "This Is My Song." Please rise in body and or spirit. May we turn our hearts to prayer. O Spirit of life, source of all love, eternal mystery of God within, among, and beyond us, we are so deeply grateful for the life of Ben Ezra, and we grieve that he is now gone. Comfort Barbara as she moves forward into the next chapter of her life. Be with Phil, Beth, and Tom, with Chuck and Kate, that their father and stepfather shows them how to live in the memories they hold. And may they share of their stories, keeping his spirit alive. And be with his grandchildren, Noah, Elise, Rachel, Quinn, Alex, Gabby, Ryan, and Lauren. May they live meaningfully with the legacy of their grandfather. And be with us all who knew and loved Ben, that our lives may continue to be touched by his love of life and his devotion to humanity. May Ben's smile live on in our hearts. May his earnestness remind us of the power of the human spirit. And most importantly, may we remember that love never dies, that what we have shared with Ben and learned from him cannot ever be taken away, that the gifts of the Spirit are forever. Blessed be. Amen. I invite you to take the teal hymnal, open to number 1044, and we shall sing our closing hymn, Eli, Eli. We close with words from Unitarian minister A. Powell Davies. Worship your God as you find God in your experience, the power of your growing thought, the voice of conscience, the revelation of beauty, and in all that fills the open heart. Serve humankind wherever justice beckons you or mercy calls, in simple tasks or great. And in all these things, deal honestly with the best of your thought, never pretending that the false is true or that wrong is right. In the present tragic world where so much remains to be done to establish justice and build up the human community in the bonds of sympathy and love, it is fitting that those who are ready to consecrate themselves to this task should bind themselves together in a covenanted fellowship and be dedicated to its sacred purpose. Such a man was Ben Ezra, and his legacy to us is to bear our burdens cheerfully, looking to the best in those around us, and seeking to work together to make the world a more healthy and just place. May it be so. Amen.